Hey, what's going on everybody? Alex with you here again. As usual, thank you for dropping by for yet another chess video. I'm super excited because I have a brand new electronic chessboard to share with you guys, and that is the Square Off Swap. Now, to those of you guys who've been following the Square Off website, this may not be the first time that you're actually seeing this board, but for me it is. Although I've kind of followed them, they do have their own YouTube page and they have their own website, so they've been manufacturing this board, or at least designing this board, for quite a while, and this board has been on my radar for quite a long time. But I finally got the opportunity to purchase. If you guys have seen my previous updated video, I've actually pre-ordered this board back in February, thinking that I might be one of the first people to get it. They told me that I was going to get this board by like August, and then just recently I went back on that pre-order to pay the remaining balance, and they told me, yeah, you'll get this board by like August if you finish paying the balance. And then I went back to the Square Off website that same time, and they said, if you just buy the board right now, you'll get it in like a week. So I was like, what? I'm canceling the pre-order and just buying it outright. So although I was anticipating getting this board later on this summer, I feel super fortunate to be able to have this board. And we're going to be taking a look. Today's video is going to be both an unboxing video and sort of looking at the board and how it operates. I'm going to start off by saying that as of making this video, we are at 3,600 subscribers. So we've accumulated a relatively large group of like-minded people, and I'm super excited that my content on YouTube is shared and viewed by so many people that find my videos interesting and helpful. So as always, thanks so much for subscribing. Thank you for watching my videos, and thank you for liking. Thank you for all the comments as well. We're going to be taking a look closer, starting off at just looking at the box. So the weight and the dimensions of the box are actually kind of big. We will see here in a second, comparing this box to the Square Off Pro. The weight of this box is 13.6 pounds, so it's a relatively heavy box overall. If we look on the front here, we can see the Square Off signature here, swap, one board, multiple games. It shows us that you can play chess games here, but you also have the ability to play Helma, Connect 4, and Draughts. I'm not really all that aware of all of these. I know how to play checkers, and the reason why I ended up getting this board primarily is for playing chess. But we will also hopefully take a look briefly at some of the other games and how you can end up playing that. I know you, besides getting the chess pieces as you see here, you also get the checkers pieces. So if for those of you guys that are looking at this video for reasons other than chess, you have the opportunity to play other games. That's really, really cool. On the bottom here, we see that it allows you to play blitz chess. It has an adaptive AI similar to the Square Off Pro. And then we have, of course, online gameplay and automated movements. The automated movements is something that we've seen in the Square Off Kingdom set, and that is one of the reasons why I was so excited about this particular board, because the automated movements, kind of bringing back what made the Square Off Kingdom so unique. So once we kind of turn it to the side, you see the construction of the box is kind of interesting, that they have this sort of more of the top on the one side, whereas it's on the others. I don't know, it's just simple design. I just wanted to kind of share that with you. There's no interesting information here on the side or the other side, but on the back we have additional things. Magnetic sensors, so accurately detects pieces and moves across the board for seamless experience. Personalized coaching, smart digital coaching to match your learning curve. Interactive LEDs. All these things, primarily besides the magnetic, well, we've seen the magnetic sensors are also in the Square Off Pro. Embedded lights to guide you through each move, and live streaming. This is kind of cool. Watch professional matches from across the world right on your board. So given that this board has magnetic movements, that would be cool to test out this feature to where you can just sit and observe like grandmasters play, and it would just be sort of reflected on your board, and you can just sit there and observe. I mean, that's kind of cool. Some of the specifications here, as we see on the back, the king's height is 2.5 inches. That's kind of big. I mean, that's 2.5 is, we'll see here in a second how big the pieces are, but that's kind of big. 15 games is your battery life duration. So there we go. They're telling us exactly how much games we're anticipating on getting out of one single battery life.
The board weight is 6.2 pounds. For those of you guys who are interested in case of like how you're gonna be, how mobile is this board basically. And the square size is 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches is pretty big for an automated board. I don't remember how big the squares were for the Square Off Kingdom, but 1.5 is pretty big. Okay, what's inside the box? We get the Square Off swap, the chess pieces, 32 plus 2. I'm assuming the 2 additional queens. Checkers, coins for swap. The user guide, the founder's letter, more on the app. So this is what comes in the app. Analyze your games, video calling, record and save games, and online tournaments, earn rewards. The earn rewards feature is kind of cool. I think more companies need to have kind of this sort of approach to where you get to earn trophies and different badges and everything as you progress and learn through chess, because that gives people incentive to actually feel like they're part of this sort of community or this sort of journey, or like a video game. It's you earn badges and stuff and earn trophies, so that'll be something that will sort of motivate people to continue playing with this game, with this product. And it's also something that, like I said, I wish to see more products like this being integrated with better AI overall. We have Apple, Google, everything. I want to compare this box to the Square Off Pro box that I have right in front of us, right over here. Kind of a similar stuff here. They also did an interesting design with the Square Off Pro, because they had this like little thing to carry the box around, which they don't have in this box, but this box is a lot heavier. So on the back side, we kind of have similar stuff actually. We have video, so broadcasting games, connecting, play against the AI. When we compare some of the specifications of the Square Off Pro to this, we see that the king in the Square Off Pro was actually 3.75, which is 1.25 inches bigger than the one in here. But then again, this is more of like a tournament sized, so to speak. And then the squares were 2 inches, and in this case it's 1.5, so it's not that much different. So that's kind of cool to see. And then here the battery life in the Square Off Pro was 10 hours, and the board weight was 2.2 pounds. So that was a little bit lighter board overall. But most of the things that, like, here we go on the other side, we have the game analysis, the video calling, and then the Victor, your personalized chess instructors that are pretty much also included in this product here as well. And I know I've written to Square Off Pro recently, and they were actually interested to know like what are some of the features that I enjoy in the new updated version of their software. So they've been updating their stuff and trying to make it more user-friendly. So that's kind of cool to see. Okay, so now that we are done looking at the actual box and everything, let us go ahead, and I'm going to kind of switch the angle of the camera a little bit. We'll open this up together and we'll take a look at what's inside. So here we go. Box is kind of big, so it's hard for me to get it all in view of the camera. Got a nice slide over here. We have the letter from the founder, I'm guessing. Thank you for buying Square Off, the world's smartest chessboard. Yeah, dear friends, thank you for choosing Square Off Swap. There's nothing else, no money, nothing. I usually check for money inside gift cards, but this is not a gift card. Thank you, basically. Thank you for buying the board. That's kind of nice to see. All right, now we have this sort of little piece of separating cardboard, relatively thin. We're gonna go ahead and throw this out, and then underneath we have this sort of a light canvas baggie that is holding the board, okay? And then once we kind of get that out, all the additional boxes that are holding your chords, your checkers pieces, your white and dark pieces, pretty much everything is all here, nicely secured. As you can see, the packaging is really well done. It sort of prevents things from being damaged or anything during transit, so that's really cool. Yeah, let me go ahead and I'm going to start off by removing this bag together with you. As you see, I have not removed anything because I wanted to make this kind of a special moment that we do this together. Oh wow, look at that. That is a nice board. Wow. Okay, one of the very first things that you will notice is that once we kind of turn this around in the back, before we even get started, there is a shipping lock right over here. And I've seen some videos that have shown this. When you get this, you have to remove the shipping lock. And the way to remove it is, I don't think you unscrew it. Yeah, you that's it. You're done. So it sort of unscrews. And the shipping lock is primarily designed to hold the movement hands inside from going around and damaging themselves during shipping. Once you remove this, the product inside will be more freely to move around. So we have this plastic stuff right over here that I'm gonna go ahead and remove. Some people choose to keep all their plastic stuff, but not me. I'm like, nah, take it off. This is my board. I want all the plastic removed. This is a big board. Actually, comparing the size of this board to what I remember the Square Off Kingdom board being, I would probably say that the Square Off Kingdom squares were about the same size. So right over here we have, let me turn this over. The board overall is kind of on the thick side, so it's relatively thick from top to bottom. Over here we have this sort of a emblem for the Square Off. Interesting, the design of this sort of thing where it drops down in the front kind of reminds me of some of the early, like 2010 Alienware laptops. They had a very similar design, kind of like this. I don't know where they decided to get this particular design idea from. And then on the other side, we have the similar thing. So we have the Square Off on one side, Square Off on the other. Right over here on one of the sides, we have the on-off button, what looks like the place where you plug in to charge this particular board. There's no other ports or anything. There's no USB ports. Actually, I was anticipating there would be some USB ports here, but yeah, nothing is here. As you notice, like as soon as I took the shipping thing out, if I move this around, it will kind of, you don't want to like move this around too much because it does look like it underneath it'll slide over and hit the side like that. See, I don't know if during like transport and everything of this board, you may want to be careful how you transport it, or at least don't like jiggle it around too much because it could potentially cause damage to the internal thing because it hits the sides kind of loudly. So anyway, so let's go ahead and see what else is in the box, and we'll turn this board on, see if we can connect it and see what we get out of it. I'm super excited. Alrighty, here in the middle we have this little box that's devoted to basically just this little page that says let's get started. It's a quick user manual. Shows us that we need to start off by unscrewing the shipping lock. Standard at the bottom of before switching it on. So before you switch it on, you do what we did just now. Download the Square Off app. We've already got the Square Off app since I've used the other boards. Connect the board to the charger. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at that here in a second. Press the power button to switch on. Open the app and connect via Bluetooth. Wait for the beep to establish connection. Update the firmware to its latest version, and then after successfully completing the initiation setup, select from the app to register your move. Place the piece in the center of the desired square. The LED light will flash, confirming the move. Okay, so that's cool. So that's all we get as far as this. Just a little quick guide to starting the board up, so that way you're not lost about what you need to do. This box here looks to me like it's the box that contains the checkers pieces, or if some of you guys are interested in some of the other games, like the Connect 4, Droughts. Like I said, I'm not really familiar with some of those games. But yep, we get the checkers pieces. That's kind of cool too. Yeah, so these checker pieces are kind of nice. As we see, they're relatively light, but they are magnetic. So we will see in just a minute. I'm assuming, given that they're magnetic and they have the same type of felt over here, that they are also going to be pieces that will move on their own. So that's kind of cool. We've seen checkers pieces provided by the Chessup company, but they were not, I don't think they had any sensors in them. You just had those sort of as a side thing. But in this case, I'm actually very interested to see how these checker pieces will be operating on this board. That's really cool. We also have this big box that holds our, we get the Square Off little thing for your iPad or your phone, what have you. depending on what you're going to be using with this particular board. And then we have additional little thing here for you to plug in, whether you live in Europe or if you live in the United States like me, then you're going to use this particular adapter. The output to this one in particular is 44 watts. So this little big boy here, or I'm assuming this board here, takes on quite a bit of energy. That's probably the reason why they didn't include the USB-C cable like they did with some of the other boards. Because I know that with the Square Off Pro we had the USB-C charge, but maybe this board just requires a little more juice. As you guys can see here, included is your European plug that you actually will just plug in directly into this. There we go. Kind of like an adapter. I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be used, but that's what you get here. Lastly, we have these two boxes here. One box that contains your light pieces. As you see here, we have the two queens, the king on the side here, and all the rest of the pieces. The other box that will contain the dark pieces. The colors are relatively neutral, as we see here. In the Square Off Pro board, the light pieces were like super white, and in this case they chose to have them more like gray. But they are both glossy, they're not matte, so they still chose to have them kind of more glossy. In the Square Off Kingdom set, the pieces were made to look more like wood, kind of like the Chestnut Air pieces. So, yep, the design here is going to be a little bit more sort of less striking, but at the same time probably a little bit easier on the eyes. Let me go ahead and take everything out, and we're going to turn on the board and check it out. They got a really interesting design of the squares being sort of more subtle than what I've seen with the other boards. There's sort of this almost like a three-dimensionality to the light pieces, given that you have these sort of shadows on the sides. That makes it a little bit more like 3D-like instead of just a very flat two-dimensional board, and sort of gives it a little bit of character. You guys can see that we do have the notation, and although it's subtle, it's still there, and therefore that notation might be helpful to a lot of people that are looking for boards specifically with notation. On one side, right over here, you see that on the left side of the board, from where I'm standing, the numbers are going to be turned one way. But if we turn it the other way, right over here, we'll notice that the numbers are actually turned the other way. So the way that they made this board is that the lettering will be turned the right side towards the person that's sitting where they're sitting, but the lettering is going to be in that lane only, in the very first lane. And then of course the lettering here is turned towards us, so that way we are not faced with numbers that are upside down on one side or anything like that. On the side we see where the pieces will actually be going here in a minute when I turn this board on. I'm assuming when the automated pieces are exchanging, or the pieces basically go out of the game, as we can kind of see a little bit closer once my camera. Yeah, so pawns, and then knights, bishops, rooks, king, two queens right over here. So all the pieces that you see will actually have their own little spots. So during the actual game, the pieces will find their spots, kind of like we've seen with the Grand Kingdom set. The fact that we have these little side things here is actually kind of nice, given that this board is about, I think, $2.99 right now. When initially the Kingdom or the Grand Kingdom set came, I believe that my version of the board came without those little side things. And I know that the upgraded version, which retailed for close to $500 at the time, did come with those, but I ended up getting without them. So the fact that you get these little side things is already really cool, and it comes standard with the swap. And that's going to make it to where all your pieces are going to have an exact spot for themselves, so that they don't just move to the side of the board and get stuck there, but they actually find their spot. If we wanted to compare the board square size to some of the other boards I have, we can see this is the Chestnut Air board. If we put it side by side right over here, we do see that these squares are going to be just a little bit smaller, not by much, but if we set these together to about a level, we do notice that you're about half a square short here. Not significant, but it is, going to be just slightly ever so much bigger. I like the Chestnut Air for the reason that it's just so compact. As you see here, it doesn't occupy a lot of space and it weighs barely anything, which is really nice as far as being able to carry this somewhere, or just mobility of the Chestnut Airboard has always been a very, very good thing. If we compare the size of the squares to the Chessup board, we can see that they're actually almost about the same, with the Chessup being slightly bigger in squares, but once again, it's not to the point where you're really going to notice the square size as being that much different, but the Chessup is just a little bit bigger, as you guys can see. I'm actually kind of surprised that the connection here is not through USB-C. Most of the other chess boards that we've seen recently come with the USB-C connection, but in this case, we just have this more of a standard type of plug. So now that we've plugged it in, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. Once we turn it on, it has kind of the circulating little LED lights over here. They're not really super bright, but if we maybe were to turn this here off, I don't know if you guys are able to see that, but we have the little LED lights that you guys can see like in a dark environment. I don't know whether or not that brightness can be adjusted, but we'll take a look. Probably, since I'm not really seeing any buttons on the board itself, everything's probably configured through the app. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in, connect it to the Square Off, and we'll take a look. We've connected the board relatively seamlessly. It didn't really ask me which board do I want or whatever. It just immediately found it, and the board made a beeping noise. And then it introduced me to the option to update. So we're updating our board right now. This may take a little while, but in the instructions initially it did say go ahead and update your board. So we're running the update through the actual Square Off app, which I've already had pre-installed on my phone since I have all the other Square Off products. So yeah, we're gonna give it a little bit of time. We're gonna get it updated, and then we'll see how this operates. As we see right over here, when we turn the board on, we have these like fancy looking little corner LED lights on the front of the board on both sides, I believe, and on the other side as well. That kind of makes it look really alien-like, kind of like an alien spaceship, or maybe like a fancy sports car like a Camaro or something. And aside from that, there's no other buttons on the whole board, which means that all of your options and everything on all the configurations, you're gonna have to configure those through your phone or your iPad, whichever device it is you're connecting it to. So yeah, I did the update, and now that the update is finished, we are in the home page right over here of our Square Off application. This is the same Square Off application that we've seen with the Square Off Pro. Some things might be a little bit different. Mainly is that you see that we have the Square Off Swap instead of the Square Off Pro board. If we click on this here, we did the firmware upgrade, which is right now 3.0.7. Then you can do the warranty activation to put in all your information here and then get that warranty on that board. I'm not sure how long the warranty is. Over in the main homepage, we see not much has really changed. You can play with the AI, play chess or checkers in this case. You can see right over here. If we switch to checkers, you can play as white or dark. The level here is easy, medium, or hard, so there's not that sort of a multi-level transition that we have, for example, with if we play chess. We click over here, we have this whole array of levels from level 1 at ELO 800 all the way to level 20 at ELO 3380. So it's a little bit more simplified in the checkers option, but still, I haven't played checkers in a while. I'd be actually kind of excited to see how that works. That's kind of cool, especially if the pieces actually move just like our chess pieces do. So that's really cool. You can start from a position too. If you choose a position, they allow you to start off after making certain like known openings. You can see here the Alekhine defense, bird's opening. I play a lot of times the Scotch opening. That's kind of my favorite. Just it allows for a more open game. But you can do like London system, Nimzo Indian defense, Philidor defense, Petrov defense, Queen's Gambit. I used to play the Queen's Gambit a lot. So that's kind of cool. You can just go ahead and start from that position. Then you would have to separately put all your pieces right over here in that configuration. And then you can sort of continue your game from there. So and that allows you for like additional analysis if you wanted to get kind of a little bit more information about a specific opening. You can do a game clock, and that allows you to put like blitz for 3 minutes with 2-second increments, 5 minutes, 5 minute with 3-second increment. You can do classic 10 minutes with 5 second, 15 minutes, 30 seconds, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. So that's really cool that, you know, basically you can just quickly choose, or you can do custom and, you know, how many minutes, how many second intervals you want, that kind of thing. Yeah, and now this whole option that I'm describing to you is for the AI. Okay, you can also choose time for the game clock per move. You can see how many seconds you would allow somebody per move. So like, let's say you want 2 minutes or 3 minutes for a move, you can do that. But I wouldn't necessarily want to do that because I do know that some moves require a little bit more time to think. So I just pretty much choose per game and just give myself, I usually do 10 minutes. That's kind of my average, but I personally like to have it more like 30 minutes. It just consumes a lot of time, because if you do a 30-minute game, that's 30 minutes for you and 30 minutes for the opponent. So that's a 60-minute game. And a lot of times, like for me with kids or always having to go somewhere, it's always kind of, for me, better to do the 10-minute game. So that's that. And now we have the option, if we go back to the main screen, you can stream games. So these are some of the games that are going on, I guess, right now, that you can, and you could see some of the ratings here are like 25, 55, 26, 23. So these are probably some like either masters or grandmasters. So you can, I guess you can just go ahead and put it in. You can either stream the game on the app, which is right on your phone, or on the board. And if we click that, it says it's checking the board right now. And it says here your pieces are not put on the board. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start off with the streaming option. I'm going to go ahead and put all the pieces on the board right now as they are. And then we'll proceed from there and see how it does the streaming part. One of the things I want to show you guys is that in this position where we've just recently, I said that we're going to go ahead and establish the pieces here to, they say put the pieces in their initial position. And in this case, when you're putting your piece down like this, it will go from red to normal. That will indicate to you that you have placed the piece in its beginning position. You are, although, you know, in the beginning when the board is turned off, you're not really sure which is the right way, since the board is symmetrical on both sides. You might think that this is the dark side, this is the light side. It shows you here that as we're putting these pieces down, it is the dark side pieces that are becoming no longer red, but in their proper color. So that tells us that those pieces are being put in their proper position. And every time you put a piece down, the board makes this little beeping noise, as you guys can hear. See? And then once the beeping noise gets made, the LED lights actually will turn off for... There we go. Now, I believe they're using kind of similar technology to the other boards that we've seen before, like the Square Off Pro board, because from what it seems here, they're using the similar sort of a magnetic piece recognition, not individual piece recognition, because what we'll see here is, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see that, but if we take this dark pawn over here and put it on the other side, it'll actually say, yeah, you put a light pawn here in its proper position, which means that it's not able to really differentiate between the different pieces. All it recognizes is the fact that you put a piece there, assuming that you put the right piece. Like in this case, we put a queen there. It says that the pawn's been put in its proper position. We can put a light queen here, and it's not going to really argue with us. It says, okay, pieces are arranged where they need to be. So, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. It just tells us that, you know, things are going to be a little bit tricky when you have to set up your pieces in a particular position. It will basically take your word for it, meaning that the board will sort of assume that you put the pieces in the right position, and it's going to be really up to you. Whereas, like as we've seen with, for example, the Chestnut Air and the Chestnut Pro, because of their individual piece recognition, if you are like setting up your pieces on the board, then if you didn't put a piece in the right place, it will say, no, you got to put the right piece in there, not that piece. Okay, now that we've gotten through that part, let's take a look. Yeah, right now it's thinking. It's a 32-minute. I'd like to be able to see where we are. Yeah, okay. Nothing's happening right now. The streaming is going on. Let me just escape out of that real quick and see if we can restream. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and exit, and we're gonna go ahead and stream a game again. I'd like to be able to see, so let's go ahead and look at this game. Stream. Start over. And yeah. Okay, something is going on. Pieces are being moved. I'm assuming I'm hearing something. Yeah, see? Here we go. So the movement of the apparatus, the movement of the arm is a lot quieter now. Now I do feel a little bit that my table kind of, when it was moving that way, my table kind of vibrated a little bit. Okay. All right. So this is the part where basically we're streaming a game between two relatively highly rated players here. One of the things that I wanted to mention is like when the knight was pushed out, it kind of pushed this pawn a little bit out of the way. But we kind of seen the same thing with the square off kingdom, where if the base of a particular piece is a little bit bigger, maybe than the space that's necessary to, it might push a piece out, but it's not going to like knock it to, you know, any particular like side, or it's not going to knock it out to where it will confuse the game, hopefully. Yeah, so that's basically in a situation where you just want to like watch somebody else play. I'd like to see how we're going to capture it and how that's going to happen. Here we go. Here's the pawn is being taken, and the other pawn is going in that spot. Okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. I think that as you guys can see, as I've told you before, each one of the individual squares here is specifically designed for one particular piece. So far, as we've seen, we're not encountering any particular like glitches or anything. That was one of the things that I've encountered with the Square Off Kingdom set when I reviewed it like 2 years ago, is that the movement and everything was kind of similar to this, but it was a little bit glitchy, at least at the time. Maybe it was just my board, but you can see here things are pretty good, pretty straightforward. So you can just sit here, and instead of staring at a screen, you can have the opportunity to just, like me right now, I've got my coffee right over here, and you can just sit and observe the game. Whether it's going to be a blitz game or whether it's a classical game, you can observe the game being played on a physical board, and you know, make your own decisions about how the game is being played, but you experience it in sort of real life, which is, in my opinion, that's really cool. That was interesting how that it just sort of got removed that way. So I'm assuming a piece has taken the pawn. Yep, it was the queen. So that's that. Now that we've kind of seen how the streaming process works, let's go ahead and quit this part. And I'm going to go ahead and exit. And I'm going to go ahead and play against the AI because I want to see how I'm going to play as Dark, and I'm going to do a blitz. Let's go ahead and play as Dark. We're going to do blitz. We're going to do 5 minute. I just want to see how is it possible to play realistically a blitz game. We're going to set it to approximately level 10, kind of mid-range. Then we'll press play the game. Okay, so there's 3 options that they allow you to: either full movement, some movement, or no movement at all. If you do no movement at all option, then it will basically be there's going to be no movement on the opponent's side. And they're just gonna blink for the lights, which is kind of cool because sometimes if you don't want to necessarily have this as a fully automated board, you can always just choose no movement. So we're gonna go ahead and press full automated. It's checking the board right now. It says please set up your pieces in this particular fashion. So we're gonna go ahead and reset all our pieces back. Yeah, I think I got everything. So okay, this is how we're gonna do. We're gonna look at the board here. That was a pretty quick movement. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead. One of the things that's different here is that, well, the board does make a lot of sort of like, not a lot, but you can feel that, I guess the fact that it's moving a little bit quicker, let's go ahead and go here. The fact that it's moving a little bit quicker, the opponent's pieces are, but one of the things is you don't have to depress the pieces like we've seen with the Square Off Kingdom. You don't need to actually depress your pieces physically. You just move them, and then it recognizes that you moved the pieces. All right, so I mean it's moving pretty quick. In my opinion, I think that it's. Here we go. Oh, it's gonna take my piece. Interesting, you didn't get it all the way, but remove the opponent. Okay. It didn't put it all the way, and it didn't put it all the way here, but that's okay. That's okay, I guess. Let's go ahead and move here. When the arm moves, it does make a little bit of noise. Let's see, okay? So it's going here, and we're gonna go here. Boom, okay. Interesting, okay. That arm is moving pretty aggressively. Okay, I'm assuming that this one's here because I don't like these pieces not being fully in their squares. Okay, yeah, sure, all right. Okay. There it goes. Interesting. You put it kind of right next to that one. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and there we go. See, it says, there we go. Let's take a look. Kind of moving it out of the way a little bit. I'm not really playing all that seriously right now. But I'm just sort of playing for fun. It's not putting them on the right spot. Maybe it's because it's just moving so quickly. See, I did what I did. Crap, I'm gonna lose a piece now. Damn it. Okay. All right. So I'm not paying attention, and all of a sudden my pieces get taken. Alrighty. So that's kind of interesting. So you can tell that the arms are moving a little bit quicker. This table kind of vibrates pretty easily, but you can tell that when the arm is moving, the table vibrates a little bit. All right. Let's see where it puts this one now. It's been putting them sort of in this space here. Well. Okay. That's fine. I've already lost a piece. That's fine. Okay, so that's the blitz part, okay? As we've seen, it does move pretty quickly. It does make a little bit of vibrations, but the noise is actually minimal. Compared this to like the Square Off Kingdom, where the noise was a lot more noticeable. In this case, I feel like it's quieter, which is good to see. I don't know, I'm making a bunch of mistakes here because I am not really paying too much attention. So, but we definitely see that it's going to go here, so I don't necessarily like that option, but let's go ahead and move here. But it's nice. It's nice to see that it's, there we go. What is it doing? Oh, it's protecting. I guess it's protecting. So I don't like that either. Let's go ahead and do that. I don't know if I like it being like pushed to the side, but not all the way. It just, I thought I was going to push them all into their individual spots, but I'm not seeing that. Ah, confusion. Confusion. Oh, it said I had a, what? Silly stuff. Anyways, so that's that, okay? So now that we've got that out of the way, I want to go ahead and see what it would be like to play on against the AI on a less, like a more slow game. So we'll just put like a 10-minute game. We'll see if the movement of the board and the pieces is going to be similarly quick, or is it just going to be like a little bit slower? Let's take a look. Play with the AI, and we're going to do like level 10 again, but in this case we're going to do a classic. We'll do a 10-minute game, and I'm going to once again play as, well, let me go ahead and play as white this time. Play the game. Once again, it will ask us whether or not you want full automation, whether you want semi-automated. Now, semi-automated, automated movements, manual placement of parking. So let's see how that works, okay? So we'll go ahead and play the game. It's checking whether or not the board is placed in its proper alignment. If the pieces are sitting right in the center, then it should not have any issues. Here we go. Ready to play. I want to go ahead and open up the board. So here we go. We are doing the movement now. Here we go. And let's see what it would do if we took a piece and they took our piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pick mine up and put it here. And I'm assuming the queen is going to take my pawn. No, it didn't. Let's see. The knight is going to come in. There we go. I want to see what is it going to do. In this case, now that we're playing a slower game, it looks to me like, here we go. Let's see what it does with the semi-automated. It's not even, okay, whatever. I'm going to take this. I don't know why it's pushing me towards this. Let's see. Okay, in the semi-automated, it wants me to go ahead and pick up the piece and put it away myself. Interesting. Okay, so that's the semi-automated option, which means that it in a situation where you're in a situation where it is time for the opponent to take your piece is going to light up and you take it off yourself. It's important in this case, in this board, what I feel like, that the okay, I was gonna, what's it saying? There we go. It's important that I feel like you put all your pieces directly in the center of each of the squares, otherwise the board can get a little bit sort of confused, so to speak. Very good. We definitely see that in the more classical game, where in this case, I guess it would be called rapid. It's slower, and um, a little bit less crazy, I guess. Mm-hmm. Okay. There we go. It's gonna take. My piece lights up and it waits for me in the semi-automated mode to go ahead and take this off. And then once I do take it off, the opponent's piece moves in this direction. So that's the semi-automated game. That's pretty much it for AI. We've gone through classic. You can do custom mode. You can adjust different levels if you want to have it at automatic level. It says the AI will auto adjust its strength to match your level. So that would be adaptive AI. And if it feels like you're making a certain amount of blunders or mistakes or inaccuracies, I'm assuming it's going to kind of lower the level. I don't know if that level gets sort of lowered and raised as you play the game, because maybe you're a little bit more advanced in the end game, whereas in the beginning you might. But that's kind of up to Square Off to kind of let us know a little bit about how that adaptive AI works. As far as everything else, there are other options we've already covered. The stream games we've covered, they play with the AI. The other one would be play online. If you click the play online option, you will get the opportunity or the ability to play against random people here within the Square Off, as we've seen before. That is the online list. You can do open challenges, like in this case, somebody has already put in this open challenge and they're sitting and I guess waiting for somebody to accept. You can do random challenges here. You can do chess.com. You can do Lichess. I'm not signed in with Lichess, but I am signed up with chess.com. So if you do that and then you go down here, I guess you can play the game. Yeah, you can do a 10-minute game. Let's take a look and see how that works. We're doing online. It says make sure you adjust your board properly. Now it's searching for the opponent. As is with the Square Off application, as I've mentioned this before in like the other videos that I've done, it's going to be basically searching for players from chess.com, but it's going through the Square Off app, so it's not going into chess.com directly, and it's currently looking. So on the Square Off app, I wasn't able to find anybody. I guess it didn't connect me necessarily through chess.com, but I'm gonna go ahead and just go through this online list and find somebody. There's some guy named Roy here. Let's see if we can challenge him to let's see, 10-minute game. 5-second increment. Let's Square Off. I'm gonna play as white. Challenge Roy. It brings up this little thing where basically you can type to the opponents, and then it has this little time interval to where if he doesn't accept within 2 minutes and 40 seconds or something, then it will auto resign. But let's go to the open challenge. Somebody's gonna be open challenge accept. So checking your board setup, let's see if that's basically somebody who is, I don't know why we've got this. Oh, okay. So he has already made his first move, and I'm gonna go ahead and make my move, I suppose. Let's take a look. Okay, it shows that I made my move. Let's see how it works online. The game is 20-minute game. I suppose the opponent is now waiting, or the board is waiting for the opponent to make a move. All right, so nothing's happening right now. I guess I'm not sure. We'll just go ahead and propose a draw or resign. I guess I resigned, and I resigned because I didn't get any movement from him, and he basically won the game and got 20 extra points for no particular reason because he wasn't moving. If that was the case in like chess.com, he would have basically, the game would have been self-terminated, but in this case it wasn't, so I lost some points just because I didn't know he wasn't making a move. Okay, so I finished my coffee, and I'm still waiting to find a random opponent on chess.com to play a game with. This sort of reminds me of the very first time that I did a review of Square Off Pro, where we kind of had a similar situation. It could very well be that the way that they've designed this application maybe is that it is looking for players at chess.com, but it's also looking for players with the product like the Square Off Kingdom or the Square Off Pro or the Square Off Swap or Neo in order to play the game with you, and it's just having a hard time finding somebody. So I'm going to keep working on that, and then I'll probably make a subsequent video. We're going to be taking a look at the connectivity once I kind of figure that part out a little bit more. But it could be that the board might require an additional update or something. So we're not really finding anybody on chess.com right now. Once again, here we go. You have an additional, like, let's try this. Somebody else has an open challenge. Let's go ahead and I'm going to accept. It's checking my board, making sure everything's good. Me against some Peggy or somebody. Now Peggy is going white because Peggy chooses to start off as white. And connected. It says connected. Here's the actual board. Might be a little bit hard to see, but yeah, she made her first move, and there we go. We're going to go ahead and see how things are working in now this, like I said, we're playing against somebody in real life online who has probably also a similar board as I do, or maybe one of the other. Here we go. Oh, so far so good. Things are working pretty well. We're gonna, I think the board works well, in my opinion. Now, it didn't ask me whether or not I wanted an automated or a semi-automated movements. In this case, it just said, you know, it just offered me the game. So I'm actually interested to see what it's going to be. Peggy is thinking. So we're going to let Peggy think. There's no time on this particular game. I guess Peggy didn't want to have a timed game. So now that gets kind of tricky because I'm used to playing online, and I will set a time interval because otherwise you can have the opponent stalling on you, and that's not cool because you don't have all day to play a single game. If you are timed, at least that stalling might, you know, end up costing them the game. But here we go. Peggy has made a move. Yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and move here. Let's see, is Peggy gonna take my pawn? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. She's probably taking out the pawn to put the bishop right over here, which she might still do. But we'll take a look. If she does, of course, we're gonna probably, I don't know. We'll see. We might, yeah, I don't know. We'll take a look. See what Peggy does. And then you don't really get, like in this case here, I'm not really sure what Peggy's rating is. So it's kind of semi-blind. I like the fact that, you know, Square Off has its own application. That's really cool. And the fact that you get these coins and these diamond stuff. Okay, Peggy has taken my pawn. Let's see where my pawn goes. All right, pawn goes around and it goes to the pawn. Cool, okay. So it actually went to the pawn instead of just going to the side. And then, there we go. That's cool. So we're going to go ahead and take that. Yeah, is it? There we go. All right. Should I put mine here? I guess I could. I suppose it really doesn't matter. I wonder if if Peggy's gonna take my knight, is it gonna go this way or is it gonna go this way? It should go one way, right? It should. But we've seen when we were playing Blitz against the AI that the pawns were being thrown every which way. Okay, no, it's yeah. And it goes to its spot. So the Blitz we've seen, they were just throwing the pieces off to the side for, I guess, for the sake of preserving time, honestly. Okay. There we go. We're going to take this piece out. We're going to put my piece here. All is good. I'm not going to put my pieces here. I'm just going to put them to the side of the table. They should have like a little tiny slide over here to where the pieces just get, and then they go down the slide. Go down in a little pouch. That'd be kind of cool, I suppose. Also, what would be cool is once the game is over, if those same areas, the pieces would place themselves back in their original position. Let's see. Are they going to move the pawn here? They're going to try to threaten my queen's position. Okay, just taking out the knight, developing the pieces here. Okay. That's cool with me. I'm going to sacrifice a pawn. Something that I'm very good at, sacrificing my pieces. Though it's not always for a winning game. Peggy's going to be like, what is he doing? So as I was saying, basically it's really nice that they have their own application here. You can do text or you can do a video call. I'm not going to video call Peggy. I don't know who this person is, but if you have a friend that you're playing with, some relative or somebody, I guess you could do a video call. I'm definitely not going to try to video call Peggy. Peggy Yu, she might be somewhere in China. I don't know. I mean, should we video call Peggy? Probably not. But you can send Peggy text messages. You can be like, Peggy, you're moving too slow. Come on. That's kind of cool to see. So Peggy has taken the bait, and she's gonna go ahead and look for a worse position. Peggy decided that it's gonna be okay to sacrifice a queen for just one extra pawn, I guess. So there. Did it work? I hope. That is something that I notice if you take a piece too quickly. Let's see. Fine? You okay? Okay, now it's okay. Sometimes it gets a little bit confused here, as you can see. If we take the pieces a little bit too quickly, it creates confusion, and then it keeps blinking, and it basically won't let you move your pieces. And if you're in a very tight game where you're really moving quick, then you really don't want to have any confusion like that. You know, that is one of the biggest advantages to having individual piece recognition, like the Chestnut Air. You don't really have those like confusion as often, because in the end it recognizes the pieces by what they are individually. So if you've hurried through the exchange and you ended up placing the pieces where you need them to be placed after the exchange, the board is not going to suddenly get confused and be like, I don't know what happened here. There we go. There goes my queen. A very elegant exit, all the way to where the queen should be. Now we still have the one single arm, as you can tell. So it moves here, then it comes back and it moves that piece. Because yeah, it's gonna probably push this here. It's gonna push this out. And then I'd like to take my, probably take this knight out to start, because this knight is now going to be relatively important. Then probably do castling afterwards, that kind of thing. So that's that. I don't want to take you guys too much time showing you guys stuff. I guess we're going to go ahead and Peggy, I'm going to resign the game. Have fun. Peggy gained a couple of extra. Here I want to show you guys a little bit up close the individual pieces of the square off swap board, so that just for like the detail and everything. The pieces aren't super heavy. They're made out of plastic, kind of similar to some of the other boards we've seen. The king, according to the description, is 2.5 inches, which makes it reasonably large, kind of similar to the Chestnut Air. In fact, as far as comparison between the sizes of like the square off and this is the square off, this is going to be the piece to the Chestnut Air. So we see that they're pretty similar in size. And then the chess up actually is going to be a little bit bigger. The chess up king is going to be that much bigger and just a little bit heavier too. So the weight of the pieces here, it seems to me like the chestnut's just a tad bit heavier than this. Perhaps it has to do with the circuit inside of the piece that kind of makes it just a little bit heavier. But for the most part, they're very similar as far as the dimensions, and also very similar to like the size of the bases. The chestnut air is just a little bit broader, I guess. The queen too here, we can compare the queen to the queen of the this is the square off knee, the square off swap, and this is the chestnut air, kind of very similar queens as well. Similar in details. Once again, the chestnut air is just a little bit bigger base here, but for the most part, everything's kind of similar size. These here are the bishops in comparison. The bishop here and this bishop are also very similar size. I like that the basis of the chestnut air is a little bit bigger, kind of makes it a little bit more stable, I guess. But it's not really all that noticeable when you're actually playing the game. And then the knights are kind of like this. Here we have a knight that's a little bit more sort of this a champion-like German knight here, and in the chestnut air, the knight is going to be a little bit more kind of realistic, a little bit more details here, but just a tad bit shorter. By the way, here's the chess-up knight, a little bit bigger. Most of the chess-up pieces are going to be just a little bit bigger. Then here's the rooks. Here's the rook to the square off swap, and here's the rook to the chestnut air. Once again, for the most part, kind of very, very similar. Here's the rook to the chess-up. Finally, the pawns. One of the things that I notice about the pawn to the swap is the head here is kind of big. I guess because the rest of the piece is kind of smaller. Just makes it maybe easier to grab if you have just a bigger top here, I guess, than the smaller one here. That's the chess-up pawn here. So yeah, not a whole lot different. It's not like we're seeing major differences. So that's that. The only piece here among these three that's actually being recognized by the board, as you can hear, is the swap itself. So I guess you cannot use the chestnut air or the chess-up pieces on this board. These here are the dark pieces. They are going to be a little bit kind of on the shiny side. I like it because they go well with the board. In fact, the light and the dark pieces kind of go well with the board because you don't have like a striking color or anything that would be kind of taxing on your eyes or anything. It blends well. Here we have the checkers pieces. I'm not really big on checkers. I haven't really played the game, but we're gonna go ahead and take a look at how that works. So it does or should have individual piece recognition as well. I made my move. I believe I made my move, but there we go. And let's see. It also moves the pieces here. So that just goes this way and that one goes that way. I'm not sure. That one I guess has to be here. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and go here. Yep. All that's good. I put the strength to medium. I've played checkers and maybe played checkers before, but I don't remember. I don't remember exactly. Let's just go here. It's gonna have to take, right? According to checkers, then maybe not. But you guys can see there's some flaw in this because the checker pieces get moved. Like I guess maybe they're really light and then it pushes them to a certain way. I don't remember the rules of checkers all that much. I thought they were supposed to take. Let's see. I guess not. I don't know. All right, one of my pieces got taken. Okay. That's cool. There we go. It's moving the pieces as the thing is moving. You could see. All right, I'm gonna take his piece. Both of them, in fact. I hope that it registered what I was doing. Am I not supposed to do that? Yes. Take my pieces. There we go. They were like, I'm taking your checkers. Oh, took my piece. Okay, cool. I'm playing for the white, by the way. I don't know. Is it not recognizing that I made my move? Oh, now I guess I get the double. By the way, you get a lot more checker pieces than you do need for the game. There we go. There's some issues with recognizing the movement. I don't know. Definitely there's some stuff that I don't know. Well, there's that. This is medium mode. I haven't really played checkers, and oh, look at that, it got taken. Oh, it got taken. Okay, cool. Oh no, I'm gonna lose more pieces. Okay. Unless I don't have to take it. I don't have to take it, I guess. I don't know what the rules of checkers are here, but I don't have to take it necessarily. No, I'll take it. See, okay. Where is that one going? Look at that. Interesting. Was that one there and was that one there? That one was there. Cool. Well, there you have it. Alrighty, my friends. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys have gained some insight about how this board works. For me, I always try to make things just transparent as I can. So let me know what you guys think. This board, in my opinion, has definitely some improvements over the Square Off Kingdom. Basically, the Square Off Kingdom would probably be considered its predecessor. For one, it's smaller, so they made it a little bit more compact. It's quieter, which is really nice. It the movement of the arm, at least my previous board, the Square Off Kingdom, was somewhat loud, and I thought that like in a situation where I might be playing in the same room as somebody else might be taking a nap or sleeping, it is a little bit loud. Also taking it to like a library setting where you should not be making any noise. People might be like, you know, he's making some noise with that board. In this particular case, it's nice. There's some beeping. I'm assuming you can turn off the beeping some way, but it's quieter. That's what I wanted to say. The automated movement, the option in front of the game, like when you start, especially like with the AI, that allows you to choose between fully automated, semi-automated, or non-automated, to where you just pick up your pieces yourself and they just sort of guide you by the LED lights. That's really cool because that way at least you can decide, okay, today I'm not going to want to have the pieces move around on me. Plus it saves you some battery. It did note on the box there that the battery is about good for about 15 games, which may not be much for some people. And if you're taking this somewhere with you to a place like in camping or something, to where you may not necessarily have the ability to charge your board, then you might want to kind of consider, okay, I only get 15 games out of it. But the moving thing, obviously, if you're choosing to play the games without having the movement, then you're probably going to save some battery life. So that's kind of cool. You still need to connect this board to a phone or an iPad or something in order for you to be able to play with it. That is, of course, kind of the way that most of the boards have been. I really like that these outer little banks to where the pieces can be moved. Although in the Blitz game we've seen, because maybe with respect to just saving some time, the hand was basically pushing them off to the side without really giving any regard to one side versus the other. It wasn't really pushing the pieces in their appropriate squares, but I'm assuming that it just wanted to save a little bit of time. And the arm that was moving the pieces in the Blitz game was moving a lot quicker. So the people who designed this board were really taking the time to consider how can we make that whole movement that was previously kind of slow on the Square Off Kingdom. How do we make it quick so that we can basically imitate a Blitz game? And as you guys have seen in this video, the Blitz game is somewhat fast. The only thing that I would say is the glitchiness of, like, if you pick up a piece and you put it, or like exchange the pieces, or you're moving your pieces a little bit too quickly. There's some situations where, especially during exchange of the pieces, you move the piece, you pick up the opponent's piece a little too fast. Sometimes it'll get confused. And that confusion we've seen before, even with the Square Off Pro. If you're moving your pieces really fast, that confusion arises, and then all of a sudden, it'll blink, and it'll be confused, and then you're going to try to put the pieces back. It wants you to put all the pieces back and try to redo the movement again. And sometimes when you're working quickly, you don't even recognize that you made a mistake based on the board's interpretation of what you did. You made some kind of improper move, but it takes you a second to recognize that you just need to rework that combination, and sometimes it could get frustrating. Maybe in the future we'll see updated firmware to the board where that sort of confusion might disappear. But once again, because we don't have individual piece recognition, we're still going to have some confusion perhaps with the board. I love the fact that you have the provided checkers option to play checkers, and also, you, as it said, you can play droughts, Connect 4, and all these other games that I'm not even aware of, Halma. You're provided a bunch of checkers pieces, and the checkers pieces are also magnetic, so it uses the same arm to move them around. But as we have seen, there are still some things that need to be kind of worked out, because it seems like maybe if the checker pieces are a little bit too light, as it moves to one particular checker piece, on its way could possibly move somehow due to the magnetic field that moves the other pieces, somehow confusing itself. So it's not as polished of a process as the chess game is. But then again, it's something new, and hopefully, like I said, maybe with firmware updates, we're going to see improvement to where we're not going to see the glitches that we've seen here on this video. Definitely a nice board. $300. It's a lot cheaper than the Square Off Kingdom, because the Square Off Kingdom was somewhere in the range of $500. This is a lot more affordable to a lot of people. It's quieter. It allows you to play quicker games, and definitely will be appealing to a lot of people out there that have already enjoyed the Square Off Kingdom board, and that really enjoyed that feel of automated pieces. I think the biggest advantage, obviously, here that I've seen and shown you guys, streaming games that are played by like grandmasters, and just sitting there enjoying your cup of coffee and just looking and like watching the game being played out on your board without even touching the board. That's really cool in my opinion, as long as there's no glitches on the board itself. You can literally just sit all day long and just observe other people play the games. That's kind of cool, so you don't need to be staring at a screen or anything like that. I have nothing really bad to say about the AI. The playing against the AI seems to be really well polished out as far as we've seen. You can choose different levels. You can choose time intervals that are appropriate to your game. The only thing that I would probably say is similar to what we've seen before. Connecting online is a little bit tricky. I'm not really sure why at this time. I'm probably the improvements are going to be made, and we're going to see that the integration of like chess.com, Lichess is going to be a lot more fluid. We haven't tested Lichess here. Maybe Lichess is a lot more quicker to connect, but we've seen on this video that chess.com, for some reason, I was not able to play any games, at least at this time, because it took a little bit longer to connect. A little bit trickier there. I like to have things that work seamlessly, so I'm looking forward to any updates, firmware updates, or any software updates that they're going to be doing to the board and to the Square Off software to make things a little bit quicker, to make things a little bit less buggy, glitchy. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. what you guys think about this board, whether or not you've already got yourself a board like this. What's your take on it? Have you had experience with it? Are you planning to get one? Yeah, let me know. I'll be excited to read your all's comments. Please be sure to hit a like before you leave the video. And as always, it's great to see everybody back. And thanks for watching. Thank you for sticking around. And I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye-bye.